Episode 1 opens with a stunning landscape, but these thugs ruining it is such a shame. Little Rita got captured by bandits and was pinned down. His in-game class is Holy Knight, partnered with a pope. In the game, he couldn't use the mage's fire spell. The blue ferret thanked its savior by running around. After healing it, Ark sent it back to the forest. But it seemed to want to follow him, so Marka suggested Ark give it a name. Ark started thinking of a name for the ferret. At first, he disliked the cheesy names. Seeing its tail looked like a dandelion flower, he named it Ponta. The creature seemed pleased and ran around on his shoulder. Suddenly, he gained a pet in the forest. Then the three decided to go deeper into the forest to pick herbs. Right at that moment, a hunter returned with false news that it wasn't the fanged boar. The hunter's experience told him this wasn't an ordinary beast. He advised everyone not to enter the forest now. Selena had just returned from work when the village chief came to ask about Marka's situation. He thought Marka's mother sent her on an errand, and her mother believed her daughter was at home. The chief said the girl went into the forest with a knight, so there was no need to worry. At this time, inside the forest, they ventured deeper and finally reached their destination. First, Ark planned to find an easy way down. But here, he could use skills from other classes, so suddenly he became the boss of this world. But the girl had already jumped down and the kabumi plant was finally in bloom. Marka waved to Ark and then approached the plant. At that moment, Ponta and Ark sensed something was off. Just then, Marka turned around to find a spirit beast waiting for prey, standing right in front of her, which shocked and scared her, causing her to fall. It advanced deeper toward her and then caught some doves to eat. Ponta bristled its quills. The beast had injured his pet. Now it moved closer than ever, attacking with its legs. But Ark arrived just in time to save her. He teleported them to a safe place. Meanwhile, the venom-spitting lizard forced them to dodge elsewhere to keep Marka safe. Ark realized this was a basilisk. With its deadly bone spikes and petrifying gaze, it was classified as a spirit beast with many abnormal status effects. For mid-level gamers, it was quite a tough opponent. Ark struggled to withstand its attacks. But since he had to protect his client, he couldn't fight at full strength while the monster kept attacking wildly. Ark resolved to roleplay as a true gamer, but you need food to fuel the journey. Ark decided not to underestimate it and aimed to eliminate the beast after recognizing its familiar moves. He quickly used a technique to counter, since it can petrify anything. Luckily, this shield is really sick. The attack forced him to fight, but Ark can't figure out how the AI created this six-legged creature. It kept attacking with its poison breath, but its legs were locked, so he decided to unleash a powerful move. With a single strike, he sliced the monster in half, sending half of it flying. However, Ark was stunned by how insanely strong the move was, but also proud for defeating the second giant basilisk. The situation was pretty safe now. Marka admired Ark's skills and took the chance to invite him to the village festival. Ark got worried and asked her to keep this a secret, and she agreed without hesitation. Later, Ark noticed the monster's legs were chained, but the chains broke immediately. Now he understood why those fanged boars lingered near the village. They were just injured. This beast scared Marka badly, and right after a fanged boar, Lai appeared before them. No money, so he needed to find a town. Then he decided to use teleport magic. Ark planned to bring it as a gift to the village, so he brought back a big one for the people. He only needed its hide. The villagers could handle the meat themselves. This made everyone really happy. Then her mother came looking for Marka. She ran up and hugged her daughter, crying out of fear for her safety. No one understood why she wanted to go deep into the village. She just wanted to pick flowers for her mom. Ark apologized for not informing the parents earlier. He took the girl along and spoke on her behalf so Marka wouldn't get scolded. After all, she was just a kid. Understanding and considerate of her mom, she finally embraced her daughter tightly. At that moment, villagers came asking about the danger. While walking in the forest, encountering ghost beasts, Ark decided to keep quiet about what happened to avoid standing out and causing trouble. In the end, everyone decided to say their goodbyes. Ark gave Marka a bracelet as thanks for her help. Ponta's sister also appeared to greet everyone. Marka hoped to see him again someday. Of course, that wasn't a problem, which made her really happy. Just then, deep in the forest. But it only teleported him to a cliff edge. He nearly fell. Lucky, he grabbed on and realized the teleport only works to towns he had visited before. Soldiers were being petrified. It turned out they were fighting another giant basilisk. They managed to kill it, but casualties were heavy. This one was only about 8 meters long, but the losses were significant. They also received reports on the Basilisk corpse Ark killed. They were amazed someone could take it down with one strike. Ark's background was unknown, and the Lord had completed his mission and went to eat. Ark wanted to stay longer, but also wanted to try a tougher mission to train. The elf sister appeared again, seemingly obsessed with power and determined to become stronger. Because her territory was invaded by humans, she thought no AI would help her elfkin. She decided to become a warrior as the chieftain's daughter, all for her people. Then she went to a cave and accidentally saw a platinum knight coming out. This person would change her fate, but first she had to wield her sword to intimidate. Ark was going deeper into But now there were no towns to pick, so he had to imagine where he wanted to go. Cave to finish off the mountain bandits from before. To them, he was nothing less than a monster. Yeah, one slash wiped them all out. I'm used to making money on simple missions. Finally, he punished all the bandits in the cave and seized their loot. After years of saving, he accidentally noticed 2 iron cages. Inside were empty plates of food. But this month, he didn't care much, just grabbed the cash and left. Turns out, Lauren's capture was a scheme by Lord Jane. He was pissed because no matter how much money he spent, nothing got done. The report confirmed he was completely wiped out. Hearing this made him even angrier. He mentioned the ghost beasts received from the Eastern Empire, then released into Louvier territory. But according to the Eastern Empire's forgery, those ghost beasts were just experimental products. The 2 basilisks didn't coordinate, so they were all taken down. The steward didn't understand why Prince Dekazi wanted to provoke Louvier Day. Ark remembered he had a movement skill, so instead of walking normally, the 6 were most likely requested by the Eastern Empire since they backed Prince Dekazi. Once the Northern Kingdom sided with Dekazi, the East wouldn't have to worry and could unleash full force to attack the West. But since Louvierte is aligned with His Highness Satch and backed by the Western Empire, this guy hasn't shown clear loyalty to Dekaze yet. But the important thing now is my goods are almost ready to ship. Can't let Princess Uriarna find out, or she'll want to team up with some informant to get the shipment. And this guy is still salty because nothing's going his way. Right now, Ark is leaving the cave with his loot, planning to head back to town for a good meal when he spots someone attacking him. So, he's forced to draw his weapon, at first thinking it's just a thief, but this one moves faster than the others. Ark recognizes the elf girl he accidentally met earlier. She's here demanding the kids, who were kidnapped from her people. Ark guesses she's misunderstood something, but this elf won't believe him. He decided to fly since it's like short-range teleport with no delay here. She keeps labeling him a thief and even thinks a knight would steal. Ark's pissed but can't explain. Then Painta shows up making the girl blush. Didn't expect to meet a Ventu Vopier species, a spirit beast living with Ark. This guy just found out she's a spirit beast called the Silky Fox. Even the elves don't get that close to her. Ark straightforwardly helped her, so she's really fond of him now. The elf sees the spirit beast trusts him, so she likes the cute creature too. So she trusts Ark as a good guy and apologizes, saying she was sent on a mission to find the kidnappers of her people. When she tries to enter, the guy stops her saying no elves are left inside, realizing she's already one step late. Ark doesn't understand why they want to capture the elves, but it turns out they're sold as expensive slaves. Ark has no clue about that debt. Feeling sympathetic, Ark decides to stick around since she's the first elf he's met and plans to help her. She refuses his thanks, seeing it as her people's problem. Ark wants to say more, but it's tough. He still decides to take this as a side quest, something no gamer would pass up. This method was pretty sweet. Ark was thrilled and wondered why the water looked so real. Then they go home to rest, but now he's lost track and doesn't know how to find her again. Still wanting to find her to remember the first elf who talked to him, so he decides that's tomorrow's mission. This guy starts moving all around the elf forest, going deep where many elves live. Then Ponta notices something. It's a band of kidnappers, and suddenly they get a lead while drowsy. Looks like he just picked up another quest. Right now, an elf kid is being kidnapped by adults. But the rich brat isn't happy since it's just a kid. He wants to have some fun with this elf. He even threatens the girls, and after that, he stabs one of them. The soldiers look uneasy. Because these are valuable goods, turns out this guy uses his dad's influence to act fearless. Ark watches from afar, the elf hunting, thinking these guys are wasting potential by treating people like animals. They still try to get more goods to sell, but don't forget to torment the captives. even though the elf girl said not to interfere. He took off his hat and looked down at the water. To his shock, his created character was a skeleton. With a noble heart, he can't just stand by. Just as he plans to stop them, that girl shows up. She quickly takes down 2 enemies with a few moves. Ark, watching, is amazed. The bandits are stunned. She wants them to release her people. One of them realizes if sold, the price would be high, but the buyer's not interested in this fiery girl. So they let their lackeys do whatever confident, since there's only one girl in front of them planning to touch her when. She takes out one hand, then one by one the others fall. Now they realize she's an elf warrior scaring them. She keeps attacking fiercely. The enemies Ark sees from afar have no idea how strong she is, needing no help from other AI. But the leader pulls hostages out, pointing a sword at them so she can't do anything. He even injures them, making her furious but powerless, which makes the thugs confident to advance. 4 of them pressed down. The more Rita cried, the more they got excited. But right at that moment, walking around town like that would get him fed to the dogs, hunted like a monster for XP. He touches her body and moves lower. She's pissed, but can't fight back. Unexpectedly, a voice rang out right after, and Ark used his skill to move behind that guy. He landed a solid punch. Now the elf warrior unleashed his full power, and the enemies started fleeing in chaos. Meanwhile, most of the corpses were lying here. Finally freed the kids. The little bean saved them, yet they still claimed no help was needed. But Ark only cared about the kids' safety. Even though allies, they still scared the kids, the warrior too. Unexpectedly, they used slave binding rings on the elves to seal their magical spirits. Not sure what to do. Without anything to break the seal, it's a huge problem if they can't remove it. Ark demonstrated it for these 2. Using his skill, he removed the ring, then instantly healed the girl. Don't worry, no pain or scars left behind. The 2 were surprised someone could heal and break curses without any incantations. They guessed he wasn't an ordinary knight. Ark just kept playing with the kids while she reported back to their tribe for the rescue. He decided to make everything as low profile as possible. She wanted them to come pick her up. Then the bird flew away. Ark was a bit curious about it. The Oan bird can remember words and relay messages to others like a messenger and recorder. But nobody in this world understands those languages. She said it's hard for people to tame spirit beasts. So the Oan bird is their tribe's only communication tool. Ark liked it even more. After that, they decided to go home. Ark said goodbye to the kids. The warrior and Ark chatted a bit about this saint's strangeness. Who knew there was such a kind-hearted human? And a talented one wielding legendary-level skills. Ark introduced himself as Ark, a wandering mercenary with Ponta as his partner. Then Ariane introduced herself as an elf warrior. She then thanked him. The Oan bird returned, and its message shocked Ark. The Oan bird announced that the slave trader base was found in City DN, so they needed to rush over to rescue everyone. Then he started teleporting to the nearest town. This town seemed pretty lively. The people were talking about a giant basilisk. Ariane turned to speak, wanting to hire him to help, but he wasn't quick to accept. Talented as he is, Ariane wisely thought hiring the strongest otherworlder made sense. Ark had no prejudice against the elf tribe. Also recognized by the spirit beasts, so she wanted his help to save her people. Ariane was worried, but Ark agreed to that, which made her happy. Then they teleported back to the cliff from before. Ariane didn't expect this saint to bring her to the Ledeo River near the city of Dian. The reason Ark did this was to avoid appearing in the city center and causing chaos, so he decided to teleport a bit aside. To avoid being seen by civilians, Ariane was surprised he teleported without incantations. But Ark never used incantations before. Now confident with this power, he went to save his people. Now heading to meet teammates inside Ariane's city. They entered an alley but waited long with no sign. Ariane waited here to meet Dan Saw. Ark eagerly awaited because Ariane was so beautiful. The giant monster seemed to terrify the locals. Ark felt okay sneaking in unnoticed, excitedly waiting for Dan Khan to show. After mentioning him, he finally arrived. Looked pretty fierce too. Even spirit beasts feared him. Ark didn't expect Dan Saw to be a guy, felt really disappointed. Ariane introduced Ark to Dan Saw, making this saint a bit awkward. They decided to go to an inn to talk easier because outside like this would raise suspicion. Ark didn't dare eat at a tavern because removing his mask would draw attention, turning him into a target for others to gain experience points. The mission was to gather 10 pieces of info. Though these two shared the surname Maple, they weren't siblings because the elf tribe Names are structured as given name, father, surname, and village name. This proved they were from Maple Village in the forest. Kanda App wanted to know the info Dan Ka collected, but he only talked about local food, ignoring Ark's words, completely making Ark awkward and speechless. Ariane had to explain that this saint was hired by her to fight the Sun Elves. Confirming Ark's talent, Dan Ka was skeptical about Ark's teleport magic. Then an old saleswoman tried to sell him stuff. "Dude, I got no money for that." She looked at his tarp cloak and thought he was rich. But Ark insisted, and the spirit beasts appeared outside, seeing Ark seemed helpful to them. Ariane asked Dan Thay about the info on the smuggler's base right next to the red light district. All the captured clan members are held there. But this place is crowded, so the rescue plan calls for going in at midnight. At that time, fewer people pass by, so Ark guesses there'll be some time to do something. He decides to go somewhere for about an hour, calling it a personal errand, and Bond decides to follow him. Dan Ka is surprised Ariane asked for help. An outsider's help. Ariane needs Ark because she sees his abilities. After his last battle without Ark, she might have ended up a slave, because she's naturally confident and strong on her own. Secondly, Ariane mentions her older sister. Dan Ka confirms Yevon is safe and not in danger. However, Ariane could be stronger. She just lacks combat experience right now. Ark focused on finding an inn that doubles as a tavern, since this fantasy world always has those. Dan Ka still doubts Ark, but Ariane insists she's got a good read on people. Meanwhile, that guy is over there selling stolen goods. Then he buys grilled meat skewers to eat because earlier he didn't dare eat with everyone else, now he's sneaking bites. He basically bought a ton of food and cleaned it all up. Looks like it's going to be a long night. Meanwhile, the slaves caught inside the prison have decided their shipment day looks like they'll be shipped out tomorrow morning. They're just waiting to live it up off Elf Clan money. The captured still believe they'll be saved. Of course, the humans don't believe it and just laugh. They plan to humiliate the elves. These kids only know fear and pray. Finally, the three regroup. They've made up their minds to act. Then a ninja appears on the roof. Observing the three's movements, he finally reaches the house. Looks pretty tough to sneak in. Without being spotted, Ark thinks Nan will handle this. Asia guesses the same. But they'll get spotted anyway because rescuing the hostages means fighting their way out. The style here is built like medieval Western Europe, but the fantasy elements don't exist in this world. They decide to wipe out all enemies. Ark teleports to a window inside which is tricky and not easy. Asia Nello casts a glowing spell, but Ark says no need to glow, just hold on to him tight. Then he demonstrates it to the two. They're stunned by what they see. Who knew close-range teleportation was possible? Hard to believe he's just a regular mercenary. Then they decide to enter through the window, but Ariane and her grandma seem a bit clumsy. Their move isn't smooth, and the other two teleport quickly. These two are really slow. Dan Ka stays cold and focused on his task. They cautiously approach the house. Unexpectedly, the enemies inside were all killed with a single lethal blow. They guess there's another intruder besides them. Given that they need to find their comrade ASAP, I decide to split into three to search faster. Since we haven't split yet, we stay alert. Ark keeps teleporting for speed. It doesn't cost much energy anyway. Plus, it makes no sound. Ark checks a locked room and teleports inside. While walking, he smelled a strong aroma. It was Lang San roast duck. Starving but broke, he had to walk away. But the people inside are already dead. Before he can figure out who he's attacked, Ark stays chill. Cool with these attacks. Then the attacker stands by the window, moonlight shining on him. This guy even knows about the ninja. The spirit beast is also something Ark finds interesting and likes. The girl wonders how he knows she's from the ninja clan. She even thought Ark was a thief. Just then, the spirit beast appears, sensing he's not a bad guy. The girl knows his goal is to save the elves. The grandma goes to find what they need and then tells him the slave's location. Meanwhile, someone keeps throwing things at Ark, making Bon alert and puff up. Then Bon jumps over there. Turns out mung beans are his favorite thought. It was something else. The ninja also tells Ark there are two elves inside the Lord's castle, then decides to leave. Ark hasn't had time to question himself, thinking it's lame how easily he's bribed with food like that. Then he entered a quiet alley. Ark sensed the real world and fantasy world were similar. Then Ark revealed the elf sale contract, catching the others off guard. Didn't expect the DN Lord to be involved in this. After that, Ark reported everything he heard to the two, including news about the two elf clans captured in the mansion. Ariane didn't know what to do with this info from Ark. There's info in that contract Ark didn't plan to share since it came from the Beast Ninja, which would complicate things. So he had to make up a story again. The two decided to finish here first, then head to the castle. Just as they were about to talk, soldiers rushed in. Now there's no choice but to fight them. Ariane activated her 8 destroyers. Those lousy soldiers' bones turned to ashes here. The elves heard the commotion and came to rescue. Ark used his power to break the iron cage, but still scared the kids. Things here were settled. So Ark teleported them far away, then helped others break free from their collars. Dan-Ta was shocked as hell, growing even more suspicious of Ark's identity. The kids were extremely grateful to him. Dan-Ta wanted to leave the rescue of the other two to Ariane and lead the kids back to the village, then ask Ark to save his own people. He overheard some people trading information. Scared of being caught, he hid in a corner. Now they trusted Ark. Then they moved deeper into the mansion, confident the two would succeed. Who'd expect the 8 destroyers already blew up one spot while the Beast Clan was watching from outside. They were curious how Ark knew about ninjas. They decided to meet him again soon. Episode 5 ends with the process of freeing other clans of F. The 2 elf girls grew up, and the Lord's name was quite provocative. He even forced them to wear pajamas to satisfy himself. These 2 accepted the mindset that though physically humiliated, they wouldn't suffer humiliation in spirit. Plus, he played with the Lord's tiny member like a toothpick. Of course they learned after a lot of suffering. But their resistance only made him more interested. He planned to use drugs to control them more, then went to talk to Udozan. His damn son failed to hunt elves. The kid looked pretty pathetic. He taught his son to control torture and used the 2 elf girls. At that moment, the 2 started teleporting to the bell tower. Guessing the Lord's room would be at the top of the castle. Same old building style. Behind the leader, a shadow appeared. A shiny golden knight showed up behind Ark. The info seller insulted a woman as an elf. Hearing this, the young man's eyes lit up, and seeing the elf ears got him hyped. Nothing changed. Then they teleported to the balcony. Bad luck hit when the guards noticed them there, so they decided to deal with the 2, and Ark acted fast. But they ended up smashing the bell too. That unexpectedly drew more enemies running over, yet they still hadn't found the 2. Damn, they even disguised as knight statues. It sounded totally surreal. Shows these guards are kinda dumb. Meanwhile, the Lord was playing with his toys, but heard the guard's noise and suddenly lost interest. The master thought they were just ordinary thieves and ordered his soldiers to handle it. But before the steward could finish, he got knocked away. The 3 of them showed up cool as hell to rescue the hostages and the kid Ubando. Seeing familiar faces, they were terrified these people actually came. Meanwhile, the Lord acted fierce, heading to, and lost his manhood. Ariane quickly ran to rescue the elves on the bed. The women quickly hid their identities. When he tried to talk, they ran off fast. Then he chased outside. Ubando tried to run, but Ark caught him and threatened. Just a slight press, and the wall would break open, revealing a secret escape room. He planned to take Ariane to check it out for fun. Instead, she went wild, tied the Lord up, and kept stomping on him. Ark didn't dare call her anymore. Even though the Lord was captured, he was still mouthy, so she stomped him again. Ark wanted to intervene since it was violent. Ariane said she wanted to make them pay for the past. The 2 liberated elf clans decided to settle their grudge. So the torture and torment of the Lord was brutal. Seeing Ponta covering his eyes says it all. Then the soldiers came to check the situation. They locked themselves in the secret room, with this girl around these guys only. Took one sword strike to wipe them all out easily. Then she ordered the 2 elf sisters to find Dan-Ka to return to Ark's holy gathering. While grabbing all the Lord's fortune, Ariane caught sight of it and got startled. She really's got a twitchy startle reflex. Then she manipulated the grandma, and after rebuilding the organization, but completely lost their trail, then he spotted the mercenary guild, just like in games. They needed a lot of money. Now taking all their cash means they probably can't kidnap anyone anymore. They couldn't quickly go back to the elf tribe's trading days, so it was easy to fool a fool. Then the whole mansion suddenly caught fire. Of course, Ariane didn't know what happened. She's been here the whole time. But this castle is about to be burned down. No time to care, better retreat fast. Then use teleportation magic to get out. With the loot I just grabbed, Ark thought about the explosion earlier, probably the Beast Ninja's doing. But finally, the mission was completed. Sister Asia thanked him and gave a reward, but it's nothing compared to what the Loot King took. Though Ark didn't refuse the money, only fools turned down cash. Ariane wanted to know what Ark's plans were next. Seeing Ark had no direction, she invited him to her homeland, the land of the elves, so that later they could borrow Ark's strength to save other elf tribes. Hearing elf land lit up this young man's eyes. Then he decided to go quickly. Why not? But he was a bit worried since he was an outsider, so he needed to meet the elders. You can earn money by accepting contracts there. Ark wanted to get a quest to earn cash, and ask for permission first. It's kind of like a game already. Ariane noticed Ark was a bit lazy to meet them. So she introduced a trustworthy elder to him, but his problem was he couldn't take off this armor to meet the elders. He had to show his face. Ark insisted that if he took off the gear, Ariane would turn him into EXP points, but she assured she wouldn't do that and wanted to see Ark's demon face. First, Ark thought this granddaughter might join him, so he trusted her and took off his helmet, revealing a dry skeleton. Ark didn't even know how to explain this. Honestly, this is impossible. Ariane didn't understand how a mummy could be free from the filth of death. She saw he could use healing magic power of the light element, and Ponta was very close to him. But since Ark used his power to save his tribe, he decided to keep this form secret. He thought he was just cursed. Thinking the elder might know the answer, Ark pretended to hope the curse could be broken, gaining Ariane's trust. But he knew you had to register as a mercenary first. No fuss, just signed up quickly. Then the two started forming a friendship. Here, Ark finally relaxed. Who knew his bullshitting would make others believe so much? But Ark had already decided the path he wanted to take. Meanwhile, the kingdom was searching for the attacker of the Marquise. The crown prince had info. It was the elves. The two princes knew jack shit. The book even revealed DN broke the promise by capturing elves and selling them to the Eastern Empire. The princess couldn't believe this. The two princes denied the info. They thought it was just a lightning rod rumor, predicted their sibling sided with the Marquis, which angered and frustrated him. But the old king wouldn't let his sons fight, so he stepped in to stop it. Because of his Marquis, he didn't want baseless rumors to spread. But from one angle, this was a rumor worth attention. The boss gained some advantage. Eliminating one enemy, the king decided to send the DN investigation team, then asked Princess Uriarna's opinion. At this point, there's no time to get dizzy, but the guild owner looked at him like he was some wealthy knight. The promise with the elf tribe was broken, risking discord between this kingdom and others. They needed to quickly verify and communicate with the elf tribe. If things got worse, when the elves temporarily stopped trading with Limbo, they'd easily face pressure from other nations. The king decided to send a noble envoy, since constrained nobles might rebel too, so he asked the princess to go to Limbo to negotiate a peaceful resolution. The younger brother was still salty. Finally, the meeting ended. 3 people with 3 faces, different states. The old king knew trouble was near. Meanwhile, 2 Asias heard from Ark and were going deep into the elf forest. They had been walking a long time, but hadn't reached a specific spot. Ark planned to scout ahead a bit. Already used the dimensional stone, unexpectedly hit a rock because he wasn't looking ahead, but thanks to that found a water source and even learned a fishing trick to stave off hunger. Ariane was still trying to contact Dan CA. Dan CA and the others had safely arrived at La Latoya. Ark wanted to know how long to get there. At this pace, 2 more nights. Ark bragged that he needed a mercenary license. That made the owner accept it. After that, the lady and her granddaughter said they were hungry. After all, they'd been walking all day. Ark decided to hunt a wild boar for meat. Meanwhile, Ariane was focused on the adorable little Ponta, sleeping peacefully. She probably had some sneaky plan. The lady and granddaughter tried to reach out to pet it, but hesitated, afraid to wake the kid. But before they could finish, the kid had already woken up. Ark finally managed to bring back the wild boar. Returning, they saw Ariane happily doting on her little companion, and the spirit beast was clearly fond of her too. The 3 of them exchanged sharp looks. Ariane put Ponta down to show she wasn't craving it that much. Starting a feast by cooking the boar, Ark also wanted to spoil the little one. And of course, Ponta loved it. At this time, the princess was deeply worried, thinking about how to handle her kingdom's situation with no time to enjoy tea. The servant asked Ariane about it, guessing her older brother was involved in elf trade, and Jack wouldn't let this go easily. Jack lost his status, leaving only princes fighting for the throne, but he warned Fona not to talk nonsense. He seemed to say that to get the license, you have to pass a test against wild beast demons or bandits. Right now, they had to deal with the immediate problem since the Grand Duchy of Limbus was the trusted trade partner of the Elf clan. Only that kingdom truly understood them. They needed to arrange talks with the elves to stop the seeds of war, but also there was a chance to see the sister married into Limbus waiting to meet J. Diana. Meanwhile, Ariane and Ark had reached the leader of the Elf Kingdom. Episode 6, they arrived at the Elf Clan, and this time, they needed to, Ariane spoke up to have her clan open the gates, then she wanted the Elder's opinion, and finally, the gate opened. This was the highlight of the fantasy world. Now, Ark could enter Elf territory with Ariane asking permission from the clan leaders first. Only then did he have the right to go inside. While waiting, this young man played with his sword and his beast. One wait turned into a whole day, but Ark stayed patient. Then Ariane finally appeared from inside. It took a whole day to get permission from those old-fashioned elders. Ark's wait wasn't wasted. This was the Elf Kingdom. Their architecture was quite unusual, with a giant tree covering the clan leader's house in the center. They welcomed Ark and introduced themselves as Dylan. Just take down one of the three to prove yourself and get the license. Ark liked the idea of hunting demons best. He was also Ariane's father, and of course had a wife named Glennet. Ark still introduced himself as a mercenary, traveling everywhere. Ark didn't expect these to be Ariane's parents. She was already 170 years old. Yet she looked like a 17-year-old girl. Turns out she lied about being 245 years old. But now Ark knew his friend was the clan leader's daughter. Her father had heard about Ark from his daughter, especially how he helped her. So he wanted to represent the clan to thank him, but then he was told Ark even attacked the Lord's castle. Initially, the report said they attacked the kidnapper's base, but one strike hit the Lord's castle. Ark had to explain everything to his friend, so he decided to tell the whole story. The man understood after listening, but still had to explain it to the Grand Elder. Meanwhile, Ariane wanted to explain her story herself. Dylan decided to go to Mepli to clarify the trade agreement rules, but for now, dinner was needed. Things were a bit heated for them. But for Ark, it was tough. If he couldn't take off his helmet, he'd starve. Yet these parents. He guessed he'd have to kill 3. Then he quickly went on his mission. Others were gossiping. Finally knew the story, so Ark had to reveal his identity. If not, he'd be starving tonight. Early the next morning, Ark's bones made a bed for Ponta. Ark met Glennet. Meanwhile, the father and son left the house and headed to the teleportation gate to Meplu. Everything was ready. Now they just had to fly there. Then the father and son arrived at their destination where they knew they had to report the rescue plan for the kidnapped. Ark and his wife took a walk. Since Ark was new here, he was amazed by this vast land. Turns out their clan took in people from surrounding villages, so there were about 4,000 people now. Many kidnappings happened here. The locals didn't seem to welcome humans much, but the kids still remembered the armored uncle. They thanked him for saving and healing them, then went off to play. The wife felt relieved too. When these kids welcomed you, then challenged Ark to a sparring match. Meanwhile, the elders continued their discussion. Since no one could watch these 4 playing around, he had to jump in to save her. About the standout guy making up stories about Ark's life. They focused on avenging Ariane for destroying the castle, but humans were at fault first. Because they broke a 400-year-old treaty, and humans actually started the war 600 years ago, but these are stories from the parents' generation, so the locals don't remember the details clearly. They plan to send a letter explaining things to the Lyogan Kingdom. But none of them want to explain to humans because if they send a letter, those guys will summon them, and attacking a lord is serious business. Even though humans caused it, if revealed now it could spark a war, they still want to keep rescuing their people. While figuring out how to respond to the human kingdom, Ark and the elf lady started training. Ark's worried about her getting hurt. But she's the one teaching Ariane swordsmanship. Old masters only get sharper. Her race is physically superior. She's confident her daughter hasn't surpassed her yet, so to test her skills, she challenged her to a duel. Plus, she already approved of this son-in-law, so they started fighting to see how it goes. The lady's speed is insane. Before long, this saint got knocked down with a sword pointed at his eye. Ark's pretty good. That deity is still eager, preparing for the final mission. But his reflexes are still amateur level. Then she told him to get into stance and keep fighting. Ark took the chance to learn sword techniques to improve using magic. All the time gets boring. This group needs to learn sword skills for real. Magic alone gets old fast. How often do you get free lessons like this? Why not learn from a master like her? But of course, he still got his ass kicked. Meanwhile, the father and son just returned from a report. Ariane looked upset, thinking it's her fault, but her dad comforted her and wants her to keep working with Ark. Taking the opportunity, her dad wants to meet Ivan, then told Ariane. Ivan's getting married next year, and hearing this threw Ariane off. Her big sister only knows how to fight all day. She said she wouldn't marry, and now this huge news drops, right after Ivan rushed over and hugged her sister. These two sisters seem close, but the big sister's real goal was grabbing her little sister's thighs. Their dad saw his daughter was okay and started to leave. Ivan had also heard about her little sister's achievements, but Ariane still felt inferior. Ariane still can't believe her sister actually found the right guy to deal with her stubbornness. Now she has to get married. Deep in the forest, he managed to kill 2 boars, but his stomach was still empty. Just one more, and he'd have the cash. Then Ivan asked if she had a crush on anyone. Ariane tried to lie, but her face gave her away. The sister said her future husband must be stronger than her, but Ariane fears that standard makes marriage impossible. Shows this sister is seriously strong. Meanwhile, Ark is still struggling against the mother. She uses dirty tricks to win at all costs. In the end, Ark went down no win for him, but since it got dark, she had to go cook. Ark noticed his stats are pretty high, but that's nothing compared to her strength. The kid's just over 10 years old. How could he compare to someone 245 years old? Fighting this saint, she only broke a sweat. Later, Ark wanted to take a bath and even planned to pay for the service. But she refused and told him to bathe Ponta too, though that kid was a total troublemaker. It's been a while since Ark got a proper bath here. Just then, unintentionally, he and Ariane walked in. Ark was still clueless, enjoying it all. Then their eyes met. Everything that needed to be seen was seen. So the Lang Sun roast duck was within reach. Ark found it strange these beasts are nothing like the ones in fantasy worlds. Right then, a creature appeared from the bushes. Ariane thought he was a skeleton and tried to attack. Ark had to explain, but of course, he still got hit by a fireball. After that, she felt shy. Their dad wanted to discuss plans to keep gathering info on the elven trade. They also need to rescue their people, so he wants to entrust Ark to help his daughter, though the reward is kinda low. They know Ark is making bank, so he wants to trade info that might help break this curse. There's a spring nearby. Long Quan tree that breaks all curses sounds convenient, but that place is home to a dragon. Plus, dragons are the highest ranked race in this world. The Long King lives by a giant tree called Long Quan tree, which houses many spirits inside. The Long King is there too, so leaving the spirits alone could be disaster. The elves say talking things out will grant entry. Ark's a bit worried since the curse breaking was all made up by him, and now he's about to get exposed. Ariane's excited to help him while her father asks if Ark can really help their clan. For Ark, it's no problem at all. This god thought it was the weakest monster in any game, exactly like those game descriptions. After the discussion, dinner was served, and Ark started liking this place. They continued searching for other kidnapped elf clans. What Ark needs to watch out for now is whether this body is cursed, since it's the character he once played. If he can break the curse, then it's truly a curse, meaning the Pope's secret technique has been effective for a while. But it also deals massive damage to the undead. In the end, he still decided to try it out. Somehow his hand restored to human form. Then what's the point of that damn lake? Episode 7, finding the shocking secret, comes fast to this guy. Ark quickly broke the curse on his hand, so this holy guy kept working on breaking the curse. The next morning, the two started their mission to rescue slaves headed to the Out of Love capital. Ark confirmed this body was affected by a curse, but even if it's broken, it'll come back. Skeleton Asia noticed Ark seemed a bit unfocused and was worried about his condition. They were finally about to leave the forest when giant mosquitoes appeared near the lake, targeting Ark. One slash split it in two, sparking the player's interest. He defeated the orc and decided to take the loot home. Ark got bitten. No idea why Ariane wasn't affected, and Ark really hated those damn things. But Ariane wanted to cook those bugs while Ark still hated them, but was persuaded by Ariane. So he decided to give it a try someday. Now back to the main plan. Getting to Al-Lop requires a horse carriage. Then they'd take the forest path, but Ariane wanted to cut through the forest to save time. When mentioning going through the forest, the innkeeper was surprised, warning that the forest is pretty dangerous now and crossing it is impossible. Magical beasts appeared inside. It's Howl the Wolf. Previously, they never saw them in the forest. The innkeeper didn't want to explain, but just warned them. Ariane, however, wanted to rescue their people fast, and Ark was confident he could punch those Howl the Wolves, so they decided to cross the forest anyway. The next day in the out-of-love capital, the princess began preparing to depart. Her servant worried about the rushed departure, but she needed to get to Limbus as soon as possible. They started preparing to leave, but a shadow appeared on the wall. But then he accidentally spotted bandits robbing and killing. These soldiers were lame dead before they even put up a fight. Inside this kingdom's city, Ark and Ariane entered where the magical beasts were said to be. Ariane was a bit worried because the howl, the wolves' tails, glow blue. Luckily, her veil covered it. It would be a great gift for brides-to-be, and her sister prepared for battle and wanted to take their tail feathers. But Ariane refused because she had a mission to focus on. Just then, they detected some movement. It was hiding behind bushes, but Ark quickly took it out, only to find they were illusions. Still, they caused damage. Ark explained these damn things are magical beasts, wolf-type, that travel in packs. They can create and control illusions of themselves. The leader has intelligence and leadership, so it seemed pretty tough to fight. Ariane used her skills to quickly wipe out many illusions. Ark admired Ariane's combat experience, ignoring the wolves biting his head, since a single swipe sent them flying. Ark studied combat methods in this world. He decided to carefully use magic, and simultaneously, Ark guessed the two others might be a noble lady and her maid. Spotted the leader watching. He decided to teleport straight to strike it. He noticed the leader wore a collar like the Basilisk from before. The leader dodged back, preparing to attack. Ark unleashed fire behind it, and then cut off the wolf's collar. The wolf called its pack back. It looked at him once more before leaving. Ariane still didn't know what was going on. She saw the wolf's leg collar vanish instantly, just like before. Later, Ariane learned that the Basilisk also followed it, and that species appeared where it wasn't supposed to be. Ark still didn't know if it was related to the collar. Ariane asked Ark for some time, still wanting to take a wolf tail as a gift. Ark was just chilling while waiting for me. Right now, the princess's carriage is setting off, and it seems she's sensed something's off. Meanwhile, her maid is only focused on what her mistress is snacking on. She's worried because they're visiting the Grand Duchy of Limbus under her father's orders. Everything had been quiet up till now, but this trip feels uneasy. She suspects her brother Da-K is meddling. Ark was super familiar with this trope. This isn't hunting monsters, it's PvE since you're fighting bandits. Z is notorious for disrupting elf clan trades, so this negotiation is bound to get wrecked. Sack is also eyeing the throne, so she has a bad vibe about this trip, but still hopes it goes smoothly. No sooner said than an enemy shows up. They quickly attack the carriage, but Ark and Ariane are still casually tailing behind. Ark is still studying his own weaknesses. He can't fully master his skills yet, but throwing in the towel isn't an option, so he wants Ariane to help him train. At that moment, Ponta senses something. The kid runs off, and Ark decides to follow him to check things out. The little guy swiftly climbs across the branches while the princess's carriage is flipped over by the enemy attack. The maid prepares weapons to fight back. Unexpectedly, one slash splits two attackers in half. When the princess checks the scene, she gets pierced through the heart, too. That woman must really be out here selling salt. These guys staged a robbery planning to haul off all the money, and they're laughing at their own victory. Then Bontalao shows up demanding to attack the soldier, planning to kill the kid. Ark rushes over, grabs his hand, and the soldier is caught off guard. Ark's pissed someone dared mess with his beast. The lady was screaming her lungs out because her clothes had been torn off. Ark was just sitting there, counting the enemies. Then he checks on the two down on the ground while the others keep casting magic attacks that look unimpressive. He figures based on game mechanics that healing potions or resurrection spells will fix these guys no problem. At this point, the mages stop attacking because wolves are turning on them. Turns out everything was directed by the alpha wolf. The two understand each other and team up to attack these killers. In a blink, they're all wiped out, and the wolves have done their part. Then they decide to leave, partly because they heard the dragon's roar. Ark chooses to go back and resurrect the princess. If the illness was severe or she'd been dead long, she wouldn't be saved, but luckily she's only been unconscious for a few minutes, so she's quickly revived. He also decides to resurrect the others. The soldiers and the maid are brought back to life as well. Because the soldiers had critical wounds, he uses stronger continuous magic while healing the others. Then the princess wakes up, sees Ark looking like an angel, then slips back into unconsciousness. Until the maid calls her awake, tears streaming down. Now they've all calmed down. This guy transferred his soul into his game character. This game character is seriously sick like a beast. Lauren was about to get assaulted. Someone saved this girl. Her clothes were ripped to shreds. Ark was stressing over how to show up. They know someone sacrificed themselves, but still many were revived, and they don't understand what's happening. The other soldiers are just as clueless. The princess touches her chest wound, thinking this is a miracle from the gods. Then they gather everyone and spread the belief that divine powers resurrected them. Determined to live again, they vow to keep moving forward. Ark watches everything from a distance. He knows he just saved the royal family, but resurrection magic is such a game-breaking hack. Still, he tries to reassure himself that everything will be fine. Ariane finishes her task and waits for him to return. Ark doesn't dare say where he went. After a while, she finishes gathering what she needs. Now they continue their journey to complete their mission in Olak capital, a bustling trade hub. Along the way, there are still scuffles. Some adults get beaten by a little girl. The kid even taunts them. Ark wants to jump in, but she easily defeats everyone else. Ariane isn't too surprised, then looks at the two guys, making them super awkward. But she's already familiar with Ark. Oh, and the other one is that beast ninja, like episode 8, similar to a Zane. The beast girl went to rescue her kind, then accidentally met Ark at DN. Since Ark knows she's a ninja, she's pretty curious about him. Despite the girl's desperate struggles, this was the intro scene marking the Golden Armored Knight's entrance. The kid even taunted them. Ark was about to charge in, but this kid still easily defeated the others. Ariane wasn't too surprised, then looked at the two, making them really uneasy. But she's already familiar with Ark. Oh, and the other one is that beast ninja. Episode 8 is just like a Zane. The beast girl also went to save her kind and accidentally ran into Ark at DN. Since Ark knew she was a ninja, she got pretty curious about him. So, she decided to meet him again in this town. Back at the meeting of the 3 beast people, she praised him for rescuing the elf tribe so well. She wanted to talk to him a bit, so Ark introduced the beast girl to Ariane. Her name is Chiome. She's a 6 Shin member from the GC tribe. She also said it's not convenient to talk here and suggested moving somewhere else for a better chat. So, they went into an inn to rest, just to rest and plan. But Ariane and Chiome stared each other down and, of course, he was beyond excited. Then the guy introduced himself again. And the little partner, Ariane, finally introduced herself before getting straight to the point. Ark coolly stood behind the enemies, slicing them up, shocking even their minions. Why, on their first meeting, Ark recognized himself as a holy ninja just by looking at her face. That was enough to recognize her, but he still had to bluff since this was his territory. He called the spies, who looked like Chiome, her clan's ninjas whose identities were passed down anonymously through generations. Then she asked Ark if he was born in the same place as her first master. Ark casually asked if he was still alive. Little did he know the master had been missing for 600 years. This holy ninja guessed that the Japanese probably reincarnated into this world. From 600 years ago, Ariane was curious why Chiome wanted to meet Ark. She noticed the girl risked everything to search for something. Then the girl asked him to rescue her people. Like the elves, the beast people in this world were also mistreated. Chiome was like Ariane, carrying a heavy responsibility. She wanted to exchange that by providing information to the two of them. Ark felt awkward since he already had a mission with the elf clan. Hearing this made the girl a bit sad, so Ponta comforted her. Ark thought she was pretty strong, but still very young. One strike, 3 bodies down. They realized things were bad and ran off. So he wanted to cheer her up. Even though he didn't want to stand out much, he still tried to help in any way he could. Ariane asked Chiome if she had trained harshly to save her people. The girl honestly answered yes, wanting to save as many of her people as possible with her own strength. She was similar to this Asian girl, so Ariane agreed to help her since they shared the same feeling. They had a common goal to rescue their people. Ark followed Ariane's lead, and Ariane also joined this mission. Meanwhile, the 2 princes were pissed because their wolves didn't obey, and even more furious to learn their sister was still alive. They lost track of the princess since they took different routes, but insisted on hunting her down after that Count's incident. Now the trade of beast people and elves was even tougher, so the prince wanted to find whoever attacked his people. The elf clan was slandered, but no one knew the exact details. Still, they were expected to come here. The prince worried his close friend might be targeted by others. Scared of this beast, they obviously didn't stand a chance and got wiped out by his ultimate skill. He ordered his servant to come up with a plan. He prepared a hidden shelter no one knew about for his master, and the prince planned to stay there for a while. Yet this idiot stubbornly insisted because of his fear of dying. Ark asked about Chiyome's first master. Was he ever a beast person? Of course he wasn't. He was human. Hanzo was originally a spy in the Reborn Empire before starting to protect the beast people. He faced misfortune in the Empire, which led to the founding of the Genji clan. The whole story perfectly matched Japanese history. Didn't expect someone to come to another world, establish a ninja clan, and have their legacy last 600 years. Too excited, he got scolded by two girls who didn't get it. Ariane was more used to it and said he sometimes acted like that. Then Chiyome led them to a castle, the largest slave trading hub, the Etihad Merchant City. Inside, captives were chained and caged. He was looking for more slaves to deliver, and of course these were all owned by Daka's Kia. Some slaves couldn't take it and died. Super cool move. The two girls were saved. Ark checked on them and got their thanks. They would never return home. This merchant city was backed by the central government under the authority of the two princes. If attacked, the guards would gather and the kingdom's army could show up, making retreat nearly impossible. Chiyome wanted the two to stay safe and retreat first, predicting the attackers. Chiyome wanted the two to try to stay safe and retreat first, predicting the attackers. And those being rescued wouldn't escape. They're just bait at best. The Beast Tribe planned to simultaneously attack 4 slave trading spots in the kingdom because she has other teammates too. By doing this, people in other places could be rescued since they decided to save 100 people at the cost of sacrificing 10, expecting themselves to be the ones sacrificed. They asked Ark and Ariane to minimize casualties. Ark and Ariane also decided to stay and fight alongside this girl. But the girl didn't want to owe them. Ark was confident because he had teleportation magic, and she realized he had seen clearly. Chiyome thought Ark was like her top master using space-time ninjutsu. It lets him travel long distances instantly. Lady Lauren of the Louviert clan and her maid Rita. Ark's skill was similar, teleporting to places he had already seen. Chiyome figured if Ark could really do that, then they could increase the number of people rescued, so she wanted to send a message to her teammates. Ark warned her to be careful and stay alert. After that, she went to inform the rest of her friends. The two of them would prepare everything for tonight's battle. But Ark didn't know what to prepare, so he thought of getting some food to fill his stomach, a mental prep before the fight. Everyone admired the amount of delicious food here. There was so much. Eat first fuel is key to winning. Then Ariane tempted Ark to try a strange bite. It was pretty tasty, but she revealed they were insects. They'd already scared him off badly. Ark couldn't believe they tasted that good. After eating, he prepared one more thing. It turned out Ark made a different mask to serve as a distraction. He was proud of this 13 gold piece item. Ariane called the mask disgusting and guessed he might have been tricked, trying to get Bon to compliment it, but the kid hated it. Then Chiyome returned with a guy. This is Gomen, also one of the clan's 6 shinobi. Mentioning that name made Ark nervous, so he asked Chiyome's real name. It's like a title passed down through the 6 shinobi generations. Rita looked at Ark thinking he was some knight serving a lord. The name Chiyome was part of a famous generation, including the clan leader Hanzo, and the man before them was Gomen. And Chiyome might have other names like Sasuke and Sai, which made Ark more intrigued. Doraemon found a worthy rival, so they immediately grappled. Then they went on to a fistfight. Turns out they were a great match, so they respected each other's strength. This surprised the two women watching, who wondered what connection they had. Simple, they're just guys. Night fell, the bell rang, and they started preparing their raid, kicking off the operation. Chiyome and Ariane would sneak in through the back door while Ark and Gomen attacked head-on. The two buddies teamed up to start their plan. At this moment, the guards spotted strangers coming out of the forest and shouted threats. Of course, it did nothing. Then 2 burly generals began coordinating their attack. One covered himself in stone to break the gate and confused the soldiers while the 2 girls sneaked in from behind. Ark didn't know how to explain. According to the game, this character is a holy knight. The guards didn't put up much of a fight and were quickly wiped out. Ark decided to use a cooler move. He summoned a lightning rock projectile to attack. Knowing the mage in front of him, Ark decided to put on a little show. He joked that they seemed controlled by those 2 mobile ninjas, but accidentally his attack combined perfectly with theirs. The only problem was it backfired on him. Meanwhile, the 2 girls slipped inside. Episode 9, the 2 princes received an urgent report that their own merchant guild was attacked. Other slave markets were assaulted simultaneously. Reinforcements were dispatched. They had to handle this perfectly. couldn't lose their money-making spots, so they sent out troops on a mission. He was still pissed his plans got ruined. Meanwhile, 2 women entered through a door, and other ninjas began their moves. The soldiers were busy fighting the 2 tough guys and didn't notice the women had gotten inside, but Ponta sensed something. It turned out they had been detected. The weak one started using his skills, quickly wiping out and burning the enemy troops, cursed wandering everywhere seeking a cure. Then they pushed deeper, swiftly taking down the underground guards. Then they pushed deeper inside, quickly taking down the guards in the basement. They reached the slave trading areas and began rescuing the captives. They waited so long until finally the best friend was rescued, but soldiers had already arrived. Ariane charged up, taking down each one, giving the beast girl time to rescue the others. Over here, the 2 big-headed guys just got back up after their self-destruct attack. Of course, these guys are totally fine. But the enemy forces looked wiped out, so they decided to regroup with the others. Unexpectedly, both sides have finished their tasks. The beastmen have gathered in the hall, weapons ready to protect each other. Now all that's left is to rescue those inside the building. They have to hurry. Reinforcements are a bit tricky. Gomen decides to hold off the enemy. Real men, few words, lots understood. It's a bit tricky, so Gomen takes on holding the enemy. True men speak little, but understand much. Armor, cloak, shield, sword, everything top-tier gear. The thing is, after playing the game yesterday and dozing off, Ark didn't want to bring that up yet, instead telling the girls to get dressed while he finished off the bandits. Then the 3 continue rescuing other slaves. Of course, these soldiers are easy to handle. They push deeper into the tunnels to quickly free the captured hostages. Inside are the corpses of their own people, horribly decomposed because they were sick and unsellable. So they mercilessly killed them all. This is the pain that the beastmen, including Ariane, deeply feel. Ark hates acts like this, but insists on staying calm. Meanwhile, reinforcements have arrived. Fighting breaks out in the main hall. Everyone gathers and needs to evacuate as fast as possible. So the beastmen manage to escape. Ark returns and hands over everything to the 2 others. He's furious about the situation, and Gomen is a bit tired, but Ark quickly heals him. The dumb soldiers thought killing these 2 would be easy. Well, it was. Ark, pissed off, blurts out, "How can we just let them go?" Then both unleash a combo skill, probably wiping out that area completely. Lauren was watching him more closely now. Ark chose to clean up the bodies as fertilizer for the plants. Right then, Ark teleports the dead outside to burn them back to the earth. Ariane uses her skill to free their souls. Finally, they are truly at peace. Chiome is determined to get stronger, so she can protect others from suffering like them. Meanwhile, the little prince loudly asks about the casualties of the Ido group. He hasn't received any report and decides to check things himself. His servant tells him not to worry, then stabs the young prince straight in the heart. Dead instantly, no hesitation. It turns out everything was orchestrated by the great prince Sashksai, the 6th Kion carriage. Knowing the beastmen had infiltrated, he seized this chance to create an opportunity to eliminate an enemy. He even ordered his men to kill his own sister using wolves and mercenaries, but couldn't find her body, only this necklace. So, he plans to announce that his sister was killed by the 2 princes. This guy wants to seize the kingdom's throne. At this moment, Chiome reunites with the 2. The beastmen have started heading home. Their plan succeeded. At least their deaths would serve a purpose. Ark noticed this was his first kill without guilt. Meanwhile, the 2 keep competing to see who's stronger and will be the boss, then laugh and hug it out. That's just how guys are. Ariane is happy for Chiome for saving her people. Then the 4 head into the Empire. The girl still wants to thank the 2 for their actions while they plan to return to the remote mountain countryside. And as promised, she shares what she learned in the Grand Duchy of Limbus, the young princess. Infiltrated inside and met the king there. First, she reunited with her sister. The 2 sisters embrace tightly and cry. The older sister doesn't know the younger just endured the worst humiliation. But the girl is shocked to learn she was rumored to have been killed by the Z faction. She wants more details. The situation in Ao is chaotic. She was eliminated by Zai-chan. The princess guesses she's now considered dead. So the succession right goes to the eldest brother. She still doesn't understand how her second brother killed her. It turns out it was fake evidence and tabloid rumors. It all comes down to the necklace she lost when she left. Thought maybe he was just ridding the world of evil. Then he spotted the bandits' horses and decided to grab some cash to survive. The younger sister starts suspecting her eldest brother is the mastermind. The older sister plans to tell their father the youngest daughter is safe. However, the girls stop that saying to keep it secret that she's still alive so the eldest brother doesn't steal the throne later. Because if she dies, there'll be no one left to watch out. This girl wants to explain to the elf tribe and recruit them to help. Ariane once again reported to Danka since this is a pretty important mission. Then the two kept moving because they got intel from Chiome. The person listed in the slave trade contract is the Holy Empire of Lebaran in the east. Ariane isn't happy mentioning this empire because they're involved in slave trading again. Ark got curious about what kind of empire it was, making Ariane's expression very serious. So the journey had to pass through other countries, but hey, out of knightly spirit, they kept going. This saint was still eagerly waiting for what lay ahead. This route meant traveling through other nations, but they'd press on for the sake of honor. The saint remained excited, looking forward to what's next. Meanwhile, in the Labo-Layan Empire, they received a report from the black labor spies the younger brother had been killed by the older brother. The king here was Domitianus, who was likely the one sniffing around the Decazet side's rings. While the girls changed and weren't paying attention, he tried to snatch the money and bolt, but they returned before he could. He also cared about Uriarna's death. When he heard the news that the lady and her granddaughter had died, he felt things were going somewhat in his favor. But according to intelligence, the wolves had their rings removed. Still, the princess was killed. This king was sharp, knowing how to pin the blame on his brother. They also planned to take over Fumba, and he had even hinted at the monsters. Blaming the younger brother, they also had plans to seize Fumba, and he had hinted at the monsters. Heading to other nations. In episode 12, they entered the desert and didn't expect the wyverns to travel in herds. They arrived at the Leblanc Empire to bring their people home. The monster kings were flying around, so the birds dared not fly away, and without flying, they couldn't report the situation. Ark decided to stop them from flying. Then he charged down and used lightning magic to attack the flying lizards, paralyzing them with electricity. It looked just like a villain. Some of his troops even got hit to think he'd get bored of that. Meanwhile, a guy on the cliff was taking notes on everything. Later, they found a tavern to rest still, reeling from Ark's attack. Ark himself didn't understand why it was so powerful. But now, they had to discuss the main issue to reach the Empire quickly. They had to cross the Cebu River, then pass through other routes. Ark had to play the good guy, checking on them, though he was really craving that Lang Sun roast pork. The two wanted to head back to Lewis right away. There was no info on the border roads or the two crossing paths. Meanwhile, Ariane felt uneasy, since hearing info from Chiome's side because what they faced was a completely different empire, not the Laugan Kingdom. That place didn't ban capturing elves as slaves, so it was pretty dangerous for that girl to go there. Then the guy who was taking notes earlier came over to ask around. Everyone stood up to talk, and just after introducing himself as Cassie, he got hit on the head with a pot. Turns out Ariane was shielding this saint for accidentally revealing her ears. He wanted Ariane to calm down. But it turned out this guy was welcomed here from the tavern owner to the locals. They weren't strangers to him. The town was very cozy for him, and they all knew each other. He'd lived here over 15 years. I think Asia wouldn't believe that one of their kind lived among humans in this city. It's unbelievable. When Cassie realized Ariane was an elf aristocrat for him, elves cooperating with humans was just natural, but Ariane didn't feel that way. Because humans had done a lot of harm to elves, Cassie said, is it normal for the tavern owner to be with someone in full armor? So they asked Ark to come along and protect them. Lauren kept staring at this holy knight, and the maid tried to start a conversation. Ariane froze, stiff speechless. He wanted to know why this guy sought him out. This guy was an investigator of magical beast ecosystems. But now, there was a magical beast he hadn't investigated yet, basically wanting Ark's help to capture it. Because this saint saw their strength and said even just its corpse would be enough. Ariane chose to refuse outright no fuss. Cassie offered a deal. It was a map of the Empire, exactly what they needed to infiltrate inside. This situation forced them to accept no other choice. Plus, they got a notebook on magical beast ecosystems as a bonus. Ark was really into that stuff, so he tried to convince Ariane knowing his method would work. They agreed to meet the next morning at the town gate. Now they decided to rent a room here, generously tipping the owner a bit. But only on condition she'd bring food up to his room. The owner even gave him several jugs of premium liquor. But on the condition that someone brings him food upstairs. The landlady even gave him some jars of liquor. It's premium stuff. Ariane still thinks about elves and humans helping each other while Ark stays pretty chill. Ark was talkative. The four of them stumbled upon injustice and stepped in to help saving the girl from drowning. Ariane thinks that makes sense since she's witnessed her kin being slaughtered many times, kidnapped by humans themselves. Right then, when he told the girl not to drink, she went all out downing drinks one after another. Showing off her drinking skills, her ears kept twitching after each drink. Ark sipped a cup, savoring its flavor. But it seems like this is strong liquor. Of course, Ariane got drunk after just a few cups, so she decided to let this guy go. It really fired Ark up, just 2 cups, and he was already dizzy as a turkey. Ark felt something was off, so he strictly forbade this grandma-grandchild duo from having another shot. Then the two sides started brawling all over the room again. Ariane still clings to the idea that humans and her people can coexist. By morning, all memories had vanished. Only a bare skeleton remained here. Then it attacked with fireballs. The boss said youth really is full of stamina. Ariane was shy, afraid something might happen between the two. Little Ark talked about the passionate girl, making the boss a bit uneasy too. Later, they met Cassie, who had prepared a carriage for them, and still didn't forget their warm welcome. Ark felt shy under the girl's gaze, then introduced himself as a wandering traveler. The news had spread throughout the town, making Ariane even more misunderstood. Turns out this girl knew how to get drunk too. Ark was curious about the bad smell in the cargo hold and asked Cassie what was back there. It turned out to be the corpses of goblins used to lure out the sandworms, which were the real targets. Afterwards, the transporter gave Ark some sobriety medicine with a confident, bright smile. Ariane still disliked humans quite a bit, but Cassie assured there are good people too, so don't hate them. Then Ark gave Ariane some tea to sober up. Unexpectedly, it tasted really good. Ark wanted to know more about the sandworms, but Cassie only knew they burrow deep underground during the day. At night, they come out to hunt corpses. They're weak against fire, so Cassie advised them to avoid fire-based attacks. Recently, these worms have been preying on the wyverns here. Ark recalled when he first arrived, Cassie wanted to clarify the ecosystem to reduce damage caused by sandworms, and that's also the purpose behind his research on magical beasts. Ark was very interested in magical beasts and wanted Cassie to tell him everything. Meanwhile, Ariane noticed. That made him stand out with the two girls. After returning to town, he got a subjective certificate. Didn't expect to bring in 3 beasts in half a day. The man who was following her had disappeared, and a giant sandworm had emerged from the ground. The man had been knocked down in the end. So Ariane wanted to rescue him and used her fire skill to attack the sandworm, but it didn't seem effective. Not only was it unharmed, it counterattacked her. Luckily, Ark stopped her just in time and wrestled with it. With his strength, Ark easily lifted it into the air, then slammed it to the ground, shocking everyone else. So they got a specimen for testing. Cassie gave the promised reward. Outside their work, here was done. But Ariane was still pondering something. She asked Cassie why he lived with humans. He simply said he cared for them. Living with them, he realized they're good people. Although some bad things happened before everything is fine now. He hoped one day his people would join hands with humans, but Ariane worried about that future. But here's some news. Lord Lambert married an elf. Ariane couldn't believe it and thought she was forced. Turns out, the Lord rescued his wife when she was sold into slavery, which surprised Ariane. Then they resumed their journey to the Empire and discussed coexistence between the two races. He woke up this morning inside his game character, yet he wasn't even freaked out. Instead, he calmly checked his skills. Ark got the certificate, but forgot to take the Orc Core. Ariane was quite surprised by the story. After that, they continued their journey to the Empire and talked about the coexistence of the two races. If in the future, the two races can join forces right now, there's a servant in the cave. The servant reported people often go missing in town. Of course, the leader uses humans to feed magical beasts. This Fumba guy even brings girls here to party, even though this is a workplace. Turns out he works for Emperor Domitianus. Now they're talking about overthrowing a country. He led that guy to a magical beast pen, then pushed a girl in for them to eat, terrifying the watchers. Pushing the girl in for them to devour horrified everyone. These were magical beasts under control. Episode 11 witnessed this event, and the other guy was also terrified. Meanwhile, the two had reached the Empire. But this is the Empire's border where elves are captured and taken to this city. Being a border, many people gather here. There's nothing outstanding we can do right now. Things are a bit complicated. Finding the captured people is pretty tough, so we have to investigate carefully. The decision is to split up to gather info and regroup at sunset, then question the locals around here. So the shop owner tossed him a magic stone to use as a magical tool and weapon. Then he got the certificate. At the end of the day, start organizing the gathered info when a strange sound echoes from the western fortress. The number of discoveries around here keeps increasing. Meanwhile, the townsfolk have mysteriously disappeared. Yet no trace is found here, and there's no info about any elves being brought here either. So we decided to head back to meet Ariane. At that moment, a woman was being bullied by 3 men. How pathetic are these guys? Luckily, Ark arrived just in time to stop them. When they saw him, they got a little scared. Ark said, "Let go, or you'll all get wrecked." After dealing with them, the girl gratefully ran over and hugged him. While he was getting hugged, Ariane showed up with a clearly unhappy look. Ark had to explain the situation. Ariane went to check the grandma, found no injuries, and firmly sent her back home. Seeing Ariane's gaze, the girl got nervous. Ark couldn't figure out why Ariane and the grandma were so sulky. It's obviously jealousy. Later, just head to the board to pick up quests, mostly small jobs. To earn big money, you gotta join mercenary squads. Meanwhile, Fumba was annoyed as his lackeys didn't know how to bring in prey for the beasts, so they started blaming each other. Turns out the 3 guys just got beaten up. Fumba didn't want to hear excuses and ordered the beasts to finish them off. Before he could say much, they got shredded and he focused on the beast deep below. No idea what kind it is, but it's chained with many collars and was brought to the castle ahead, though that info is from 4 months ago. So, we guess no one's left here. Ariane insisted on checking and hoped they were still alive, so the two began their infiltration. Ark admired the grandma but got teased. "You're hugging a girl and got no info." Ark had no comeback. It's really a misunderstanding. Ariane stayed pretty pouty. The castle was heavily guarded, but they managed to sneak deeper inside, surprised by how suspiciously quiet it was. They found a secret door leading further in and smelled the beasts. The problem now was 2 gate guards. We decided to draw their attention first, then quickly took them down. His stomach had been growling, so he looked for an inn to eat. Ariane tried pushing the door, but no luck. Ark gently slid it open. It was a sliding door inward. A warm, strong scent filled the air. It felt more like a dungeon. Ariane spotted beast fur inside. Unexpectedly, Ponta rushed to the gate. They pressed deeper into the underground mystery, discovering a surprisingly vast space. Then they ran into Fumba, awakened by his beasts and out hunting for food. He eyed Ariane's sexy figure, planning to make her his woman. Ark decided to ask if he should beat him up and force info out, but Ariane drew her sword and attacked him. Turns out he has mind control skills. Unlike during the attack, he revealed he's an elf. This guy hit the jackpot. Ark felt something was off with his friend and used memory resistance to help her recover, but that skill couldn't break the spell. Ariane slipped into a dream where she trained with her sister, but her sister called her weak and useless. After a day, he finally enjoyed some good food. She had to be strong to protect their elf people and fight harder. Meanwhile, Ark tried breaking the spell with his technique, but it had 0 effect. I don't know what's going on. It's weird Ariane's controlled when the guy hasn't done anything yet. Ark struggled fighting his friend, but he figured something out and told us to pull something from her shirt, a parasite demon. Ark quickly killed the monster and freed Ariane from control. This type hides in shadows, causing hallucinations. The guy introduced himself as Fumba, a beast sorcerer under Sudu Rosambanya. He can control beasts at will. He thought Ark couldn't appreciate his greatness. Confident he's a terror since he commands unlimited beasts. Ark realized this guy is a beast tamer, and he also recognized the rings he had destroyed. Right after he summoned his tiger to fight, Ark wanted to ask where the elf tribe members brought here had gone, but this guy casually said that tribe was no longer here. Though he didn't get how this skeleton was edible or why he could taste beer, it felt kinda surreal. Most were used as experiments by the Empire, and the rest were all killed by him. He even fed their limbs to his monster. Just as he was smiling brightly, his tiger lost its head. Ark struck quickly, decisively, and cleanly. Ark was prepared to see terrible things, but hearing this guy's story was unbearable. "Don't make me angry, kid. Don't ask who I am." Yet this guy still acted cocky about his power. Then he summoned his magical beasts to attack him. There were quite a few of them, but each one got just 1 slash, no more, no less. Slash as many times as you want, like cutting fruit. None of their attacks had any effect. Fumba realized Ark was seriously tough. But he moved toward Asia's location and ordered his beast to attack. Unexpectedly, Chiume showed up to help. She arrived just in time. That guy was still full of himself, wanting to call out more beasts, but they were wiped out by the beast tribe. Cleaned up. Then he admired the magic stone. He concluded this wasn't a game, it was truly another world. So Ark vowed to explore it. Episode 2. A new day begins peaceful as ever. So this idiot ran out of pawns to fight with and started to panic without beasts. He's useless. Ark thought they had returned home, but they said they'd come back later, and Chiume was the one who informed Ariane. Just then, the place started shaking like an earthquake. Fumba knew his monster had awakened. He took the chance to run away. Ark wanted Chiume to get Ariane to safety first. The underground started collapsing. They managed to escape outside, but the situation got tricky when an advanced monster appeared with self-healing and water resistance wielding ultimate magic, the multi-headed Hydra. Episode 12. The arrival of the Hydra. Its skills look pretty tough. Plus it's controlled by many rings and named devastation. The reputation is well-deserved. No one expected someone to control something like this, jamming 5 rings into it. Chiume respectfully retreated since she wasn't prepared, but it had already detected them and began attacking. Here a mother cooks for her child, then heads to the fields early at dawn, just like Asian moms. He decided to protect everyone from the attack, which dealt massive damage. Fumba was proud of his own power. He also had a villain's story. His clan rejected him, despite his immense strength that no one could match. Yet the elders still saw him as weak. He just flaunted his power, then begged the Empire's emperor for help. The emperor was interested in magical beasts and sorcerers. If they were useful to the country's status or background didn't matter. That's why he became a villain, still cocky about his unbeatable Hydra. He wanted revenge on those who looked down on him, sending this 5-headed snake to town to feast on people. Chiume was amazed at Ark's abilities, unsure what exactly he was, but it was definitely a blatant lie. Now their main concern was not finding Ariane. Suddenly they sensed her terrifying aura. She told her best friend she wasn't unconscious, but trapped in an illusion, and she had heard everything. So they decided to find that guy and settle this to show her anger as a woman. Chiume agreed because, then this girl makes a commission contract entrusting someone to gather herbs for her, all for her mother. Hydra controller was very dangerous to them. Meanwhile, that guy was still arrogant, thinking he'd wiped out Ark's crew. This was a perfect chance for a preemptive strike. But since he was heading toward town as a powerful magical beast, it wouldn't be easy. He wanted to give up and let the townspeople die, but Ark still knew how to beat it, so everyone trusted him. These two decided to find that guy to finish things. Ark would handle killing the 5-headed snake. Emperor Domitianus' situation reported. The 5-headed snake was developed as planned and ready for combat. He thought that was good, and this empire had also created iron rings to control magical beasts like Fumba's power. But they still need his power. The emperor wants to silence witnesses now. The 5-headed snake is advancing toward the town. Soldiers standing afar already sense trouble, deciding to evacuate the townsfolk while they stay behind to defend the fortress. They seem absolutely loyal to the emperor. The 5-headed snake tries to attack with its spit, but Ark stops it from spitting. However, Ark's technique doesn't cause any damage. He's then struck repeatedly by the 5 heads. And Ark's new day in this world starts too. He accepted a commission to escort an herbalist, then headed to the village of the client. Using other moves only makes the snake nauseous, then it relentlessly attacks, trying to knock him down. Surprisingly, Ark is tougher than expected. He takes the snake's full spit and barely flinches. Then Ark strikes back, but bad luck, one head manages to bite him. The other 4 heads try to self-destruct to take him down. Unexpectedly, Fumba blocks the attack but ends up causing damage to the city. Ark decides to use his ultimate skill from the 1 Tau Palm Sword to strike 3 heads. Thought it was over, but the heads keep regenerating. Truly an extraordinary regenerative ability. Ark opts for a new tactic, unleashing his most devastating magic skill to destroy the snake within 5 minutes. He summons a fiery circle to call forth a fire monster capable of battling the 5 snakes. Ark's confident in his skills while the 2 girls watch cluelessly at the fight. But Ponta stays focused on her mission, Fumba on the other hand. And he still thought it was just a dream. Everything felt shockingly real. Plus, the damage here was huge. The villagers warmly guided Ark, who took the job as a way to live a low-profile life. can't figure out how Ark summoned such a monster. He orders Hydra to attack. But Ariane blocks it. He starts bragging confident his monster is the strongest. Strong sure, but only compared to those here. Ark isn't from this world. Ariane sizes him up as weak. She hits this guy's weak spot. Only weaklings flaunt power like that. It reminds him of what his old mentor said. Ariane resumes manipulating the enemy. This frustrates him. He decides to strike and charges into the battle. But he still hides flying goblins trying to create illusions again. The one fool only bathes once in the river. Ariane quickly wipes out the hidden goblins, making him even angrier. He orders Hydra to attack this side, but Chiome interferes, throwing a dart that wounds his back. Summoning a magic beast requires a complicated seal. If the seal is damaged, the villagers were friendly helping him find his way. Ark accepted the quest for his simple life goals. Everything falls apart. This also means the five-headed snake won't be controlled anymore. Now it goes berserk, attacking everything. But Ariane stays calm. Ark's still playing around over there. They focus on finishing this guy off. Knowing he can't win, he starts to kneel and surrender. Your move, buddy. But it's a girl who's taking charge now. She burns him to ashes, cutting the chatter short. Meanwhile, Ark and his summoned beast attack the five-headed snake, which is infamous for wrecking the country, but runs after a hit. Pathetic as hell, and Ark grabs its tail, hurling it into the air. Then a fiery blow incinerates everything. That's the end just as dawn breaks. Summoned beasts look kinda goofy, huh? Then the three regroup, and the two girls have no clue what that bulky thing is. It was summoned from another realm, so it'll disappear soon. Chiome worries it might stand out too much and become a monster everyone worships. Meanwhile, Oan reports back the princess met with the elf elders to discuss humanity's responsibilities toward the elf tribe. Coming to a peaceful countryside for a mission at this time, the girl was feeding her little sister when Ark arrived at the doorstep. They promised to compensate for all damages and help find the remaining kin, as they don't want to break ancient laws. Causing harm to both races is forbidden. The elders accept, but know the purpose is more than that. Yuriarna reveals her goal. The eldest brother, backed by the great empire, the second brother is dead. But with the Holy Empire's support, history repeats division and invasion of other races are inevitable. Kings like that only bring more harm to the elves and other tribes. So, Yuriarna seeks the elves' backing to claim the throne, offering her kingdom's life as a shield for the elves. Overall, it's mutually beneficial, so the elders are satisfied. Then Yuriarna mentioned a pair of an elf and a human who got married that was Lord Lambert, marrying an elf clan member. She also hopes for a future like that. So the two sides shook hands and became neighboring countries. Meanwhile, the three decided to return because their final mission was exposed. They couldn't search for more captured comrades, but his somewhat intimidating look scared the kids, making Marka feel a bit uneasy. However, when the saint mentioned her name, but what she didn't expect was humans stepping up to help the elves, then recalling what Kasi once said. The possibility of a future where different races help each other. At first, Ariane thought there was no future like that, but she felt it was coming closer than ever. Meeting Ark changed all her perspectives, but they still had enemies to punish. At this point, the crown prince was a bit shocked that his sister was still alive and negotiating with the elves. He also had the people's support, bitter over the failed assassination, thinking his subordinates had sided with his sister. But he wasn't too bothered by it. Meanwhile, Yuriarna was still curious. She had clearly died back then. Yet she was resurrected and started over in this world, so she decided to keep moving forward on this path. Over here, the Empire received news that the first snake was dead. Fumba was also defeated, but the Emperor seemed quite relaxed. Nothing major happened. Because he had created a control ring, he was intrigued by the one who killed the first snake. Ark kept sneezing from being cooked like a wolf. Mission complete. Ark decided to return as an adventurer named Loki, but he didn't stay silent about what had happened. She respectfully replied. He explained his purpose was to accept a commission from the tavern owner. No one expected Arky. Cho got Ark to remove his armor and talk, which scared little Chiome. Unexpectedly, meeting a talking skeleton even in was scary for Chiome at their first encounter. Asia planned to take him to break the curse after this trip, but now Ark just remembered that. Chiome was still quite scared of his appearance. Instead of joining the mercenary guild for a big mission, would choose to take on a small task here. This made him stand out way too much. Then he proceeded to the task of herb gathering. Marka found it hard to believe a knight would heed her plea. Ark fibbed. that he was just interested in this task and treated it as a beginner's mission. Marka was eager to start gathering herbs right away. After that, the girl happily wandered through the forest. Ark didn't understand why she was in such a hurry. This mission, he figured if it's this real, it has to be the real world. Ark started thinking, was about the appearance of fanged boars around the village, but the real reason was her fear that her mom wouldn't allow her to go. Her family wasn't wealthy, since her father passed away last year, leaving her mother to raise 2 kids alone. Her father used to gather herbs for the family, so Mario wanted to step in for her late father. To help her mother simply because she wanted to see her mother's smile. Ark was moved by the words of this child. Since this little cub only knew how to play games, he eagerly joined her in gathering herbs. The two began to venture deeper into the forest. Marka knew the herbs well, all thanks to her father's guidance. Then she wanted to continue deeper to find the kabumi plant. Just then, Ark told Marka to step back because he sensed something in the bushes. This made Marka nervous. Ark guessed it was just a spirit beast. After clearing the brush, it turned out to be a flying ferret, but it was injured. Ark reached out to greet it, but the creature bit his hand in fear. Ark decided to use healing to help the ferret. With one healing burst, its leg was already healed, which delighted Marka, who saw him as a cleric.